So that you have chosen or you have brought yourself to the point where you no longer feel anything for him. That thing, that particular feeling, because learning is transferable, it will also impact other areas of your life too. See, take for instance, your dad hurt you and he did a lot of things to you when you were growing up. Now, when they say, okay, he's fine, say, I don't care. They say, he's sick, I don't care. Say, are you sure you have not started building that stone cold heart? Because if he's fine and you don't care, now he's sick, you don't care, and you are complaining that when I was growing up, my dad does not care. Has somebody not started resembling somebody like that? Yes. So yes, like mother, like daughter, like father, like son, or like mother, like son, like father, like daughter. Because somebody said many years ago, said in the past, we used to say boys used to drink like their father, but nowadays it seems like it's girls that are drinking like their father. So yes, actually, when a lady becomes an addict, either to cigarette, nicotine, alcohol, anything, yes, they tend to do it way more than their male. That's why you need to know that there are some boundaries you should not cross, because if you cross, things will happen. So like I said before, your biology may determine your happiness and level of productivity and even your financial achievements in life, because if you meet the wrong person that you are not biologically compatible with, you are going to give birth to offsprings that will cost you a lot of money almost at every point and at every time. Do you know? So, and do you understand that apology is a sign of strength? Now, introspect. How quickly am I able to apologize? One of my patients, her mom says, go and tell your dad you are sorry so that I can pick the car. I say, okay. Then she went. Say, Daddy, I am sorry. And the man said, what are you sorry for? I say, I don't know. I don't know. I say, okay, you don't know, go. So yes, apologizing is not actually a sign of weakness. But the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of children that never had their dad says, I am sorry, growing up. So naturally, see, it's an unspoken rule and it's settled in their head. And say, I can't imagine my husband hurt me and he is finding it difficult to say sorry. And he's wondering, sorry. And he scan, primary 4, primary 5, primary 2, primary 1, nursery 2, year 11, year 13. He can't find sorry anywhere. So the picture is not there. And I say, she's trying to manipulate me. Because it was never said, and if they said it, they didn't say it as frequently as that child could register growing up. So maybe you need to start telling yourself now, so that it won't be a big deal to you when that lady requires it. And you know, like they say, that sorry enough is not enough. Because for some people, yes, when you say sorry, it counts. For some people, you say no, you just say sorry. Yeah, you are sorry. You say, okay, after you have said sorry, you need to tell me what you have done. So yes, what are you sorry for? Then after that particular time, you need to now ask me, please forgive me. Yes, you need to read it from the 5 languages of apology. Say, yes, to say sorry is sufficient for some people. After you have said sorry to some people, you need to tell them exactly what you are sorry for. Then for some other persons, it is okay. And for some other people, you need to ask for what? Forgiveness. Say, yes, you have just confessed your sin. You have not asked God to forgive you now. Say, what are you talking about? So confess your sin. Then ask me to forgive you. Then I say, Mama Aro. I say, I'll be thinking about it. Don't I have the right to my emotion? If you are able to process your own in 3 minutes, I may process my own in 3 hours or in 3 days or 3 years. Are you that type of person? See, please, it's very important. Very, very important. Very important. And you know that there's another school of thought or thinking that says after you have said, please forgive me, you need to now ask, what do I do to make it up to you? Yes. So for some people that are number 4, the last there, if you have not reached there, you on your own know anything you have said or you have done can and will be used against you in the court of emotions. You have the right to an attorney, maybe pastor will stand in for you to say, okay, Madam Kilefe Gongon. As in, what do you really want? Yes. So you need to know which one works for you. Ordinary sorry. And for some people, in fact, when you say sorry to them, they say, no, it's not genuine. Because there's more to sorry that they used to see growing up. That is why one of the first rule of engagement when you start therapy with your therapist is that every time you say, I think I love or I hate or I this or I that, person tell you, what do you mean? Because to assume, take for instance, in your own family where you grew up, when people love each other, so they take each other for granted. They take your food, they eat it. When you come, you go and look for another thing, as long as a family member that eat it. In my own family, if you eat my thing, something will happen. Oh, Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I say, you now say, you love me, I love you. We assume that we are coming from the same understanding of love. Then you now eat my thing, and I say, how dare you? How can you? How could you? Why would you? And I begin to, and you say, Kini big deal, Egba Mike. Is it not biscuit yet? I say, that is insensitive. And you're wondering that, please, so, like, exactly. How can that be insensitive? It's just biscuit. Because when they mention love to each other, they didn't tell each other that they are coming from a background that is different from what you used to. So when you say, I love you, say, exactly what does that mean? Yes, and a lot of other information like that. When somebody tells you, do you understand? You say yes. They say, what do you understand? You are not trying to belittle that person. You are really trying to enter into the person's world to see what they know or what they think they know. I remember many years ago when I was speaking to, when my dad was still alive, when I speak to him, I say, that, this, that. I say, things I beat, something. I say, okay, say, so that maybe in the last month, they have not paid or something. And you're talking about finances and something like that. And I say, okay, Motigbo, she has sent 50,000. So you are now wondering, excuse me. So what exactly did you go? So when you are saying that money has not come, this has not happened, that one has not happened, and somebody tells you, okay, I have had you. Okay, but send. So, yes. So that's exactly some people for you. I say, she's not taking care of me. It's not a question of not taking care of you. It's the thing that you may not know what that care is. And that's this other person that you're saying that, but I told her that we cannot afford this, may not actually understand what you are saying. So, yes, very important, very, very important. So we need to know these things. So then we need to know what good plan is versus what required plans for success. Sometimes just say, this weekend it will be good if you can lodge in after tomorrow's program. Let's just go and lodge, and not that generator of our neighbor, because neighbor has something has happened to the transformer. So we just stay there for 3 nights like that. Then we'll come back home, and that 3 nights is going to impact the savings you are putting aside for maybe buying a house or something like that. So we must know what good plans are and required plans for success. Do I know it? Do I know? Because yes, good does not necessarily mean great in the long run. It's important that we know. What are my insecurities? And where are they stemming from? What are my insecurities and where are they stemming from? Mutual sexual satisfaction is key. Do I know that? Or you get to see the do me. And you are telling the person, you go, and the person say, I'm already wounded. Come and do and go. It's okay. God will be our judge when we get to heaven. I humorously tell my wife, I say, see, this thing you are not going to carry it to heaven. You better let us do it here. You understand? Okay, me, I'm confessing my sin now. You be laughing. So, very important. And like we say, personality will largely shape behaviors. Personalities will largely shape behaviors. And one beautiful thing about personality is that a large chunk of it may be formed, but it can be adjusted throughout life. A large part of it may be formed, but it can be adjusted throughout life. Do you know that the emotional past is a threat for the well-being of the present? The emotional parts, those parts that were negative about your life, or those parts that were very positive about your life may pose a threat to the present and future. Take for instance, somebody comes to therapy and says that my husband is lazy. He says he's lazy. Kai, this man is a lazy man. They say, what happened? They say, every weekend is tired. When we're growing up, Papa Muslim Park, and one thing, everything, Obudukatu Ranch, Ojuelegba, Aso Rock, everything, like that. Parents were always taking them out and they were always having fun and exploring. So, but this one, when it comes on Saturday, you are hoping, so you're already wagging your tail that, okay, Saturday, something should happen, we should go out, we should go and see places, we should go and the person just say, no, I'm tired, I just want to be at home with. I say, okay, I give you this week. Then next week you're not giving up. Then okay, 2 weeks in a row. Then third week. Then 1 month. By the second one, say, I form my opinion. You cannot change it. You are lazy. You understand? So yes, certain things that were pleasurable in the past that we may not know that we have started holding people to the standards of our parents or significant others. Even to the point of bed. Yes, I know people that have been raped in the past that now engage in very, very pleasurable pre-fondling and pre-sex activity. And when it comes to at the point of penetration and something just enters their head and it goes back to what it used to be. You remember the regression. Regressing to the night or to the day that uncle, that somebody and that somebody did something to them. The only problem is that a lot of the time it's even hard to communicate. So they would rather say, I don't know, it doesn't touch me very well. So they look for certain things around it because every primary issue always has secondary attachments. So they will talk about the secondary attachment, but they will not talk about the primary issue. So you are dealing with, so yes, as therapists, you must understand, or as your own therapist to yourself, you must be able to say, am I telling myself the real truth? Am I doing this thing because, yes, am I doing it because of this particular reason? A lot of the time we can lie to a lot of people to the point where we believe the lie ourselves, that this is what it is, and it is not. And it is not. Irritation is another thing for some people. By virtue of irritation, they cannot be quite tacky. Sexual intimacy. How can you be irritated and... Unfortunately, a man does not know. If he shouts at you, if he talks to you, if you do anything, this minute, the next minute he may say, come to bed. And you're wondering that, me, over my dead body, even if I see you close to my dead body, I wake up and run. What are you talking about? Yes. So what are those childhood issues that are posing threats to my future? We need to understand something. Because of my time, I run very fast. That we have 4 different types of attachment styles. 4 attachment styles. So those ones that says that if you leave me, I will die. Even though we know they will not die. Because the time you didn't meet them or they were living their life before you and they didn't die until you came along, and before you there had been 2 other persons that have come and gone too. They threatened they were going to die and they didn't still die. That was why you met them anyway in the first place. So yes, it is not because they have a character flaw, it's because certain things have gone wrong. Number 1, we have the secure attachment, which I will talk very little about. Then the 2, anxious attachment. Then the third one is avoidant attachment style. And the last one is the disorganized one. This fourth one came way after this first 3. The disorganized attachment. We have the secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized attachment styles. So the anxious one is the one that is always preoccupied. Say, Mommy, tell me you'll not leave me. You say, am I Holy Spirit? It's only Holy Spirit that will say, I will not leave you nor forsake you. Say, Jamule, bring razor blade. Let's cut each other. So, suck my blood, I suck your blood. So that I say, you'll not leave me, I will not. Then you're wondering in your head, why is she going through, or why is he going all the way to that extreme? Why? You know why? There's an anxiety inside. You remember the story of the mommy that says, go and wear your shoe, I'm coming. And before the child comes out, the mother was gone. See, when children are born, there are two things that are very key. Number one, the child must know that he is free to express his emotion without consequences. That's first. And that's second. The child must know that he's free to express what? His emotions. That's number one. And the second is like it, without consequences. That I am free. You know, some people say, continue making noise. By the time I am through with you today, you understand yourself. So they are not against the noise. It's that there's consequences for your action. So yes, a child must know that they are free to express one, then they can express without consequences. That is the bedrock, the foundation. Then number two is that every child, every single child must experience some level of consistency. Consistency. It's not that because mommy is happy today, the mommy treats me in a particular way, then tomorrow you don't know what mood she's going to wake up with. So, because of the inconsistency in their childhood, you understand, by the attachment figures in their life, they grow up to think that life is not consistent. So, they try to make effort, especially when they know that you can do something to make certain things happen. They begin to struggle or make unnecessary efforts to try to keep something they are not supposed to labor on at all. Because of what? Inconsistency. So, that is why we tell parents, like we say in organizations too, if you are in HR, we say, don't try to be fair, but be consistent. Because fair for you with this person is relative. This one, what you call fair, is not fair with this. So just try to be what? Consistent. So whatever your emotion, you must know that as a mother, as a father, as an individual, and if that did not happen growing up, so how do I stabilize myself now? How do I get myself to the point of consistency? Number one, you must know that if it has happened the way it has happened in childhood, now you may not be responsible for all your problem, but fixing it is all dependent on who? If I don't do it, who will? Very important. Then number two, get feedbacks. What are the areas of my inconsistencies? If I ask this person, if I ask that person, then what is my underlying fear? Because most of the time, the things we greatly fear will actually eventually befall us. Not because it is a doom statement, but because we do things that self-sabotage. If I come to him today and I say, sign a contract that as you have brought me here, you bring me next year, and the year after the next, and I say, kilo de, denko. You understand? So, by virtue of the flags we are throwing, and you remember I said, try to decode all the color, the red flag, the green flag, the blue flag, and the yellow flag. So I say this one is already yellow, even though it's not completely red. So let's give it space so that we don't put ourselves in trouble. So they self-sabotage. Somebody says, how do you shoot yourself in the leg? And say on your mask, says, go. How far will you go? Haven't shot yourself in the leg. So, very important, which areas I need feedbacks from people so that I can know exactly what I'm doing wrong and how to correct it. Yes, what is my level of emotional stability? Stability. That's why we always shout. In biology, once there's no equilibrium, the species is going to extinct. As in, the person is going to die. That is why your blood pressure must be a particular rate at any given point in time. And your SpO2. That is why at every point in time, your emotional pressure too must be a range. You must not be traveling extreme height, as in aggression or excitement, then extreme low. Or else, you are going to be bipolar. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So, are my emotions stable? If they are not stable, how can I get them to a point of stability? Number one, understanding that yes, it is workable, it is doable, and the onus is on who? Me to do it, like I have said before. Then number two, seek help. Very important. See, whatever brought us here cannot take us further. If it can, we would have already been there by now. Yes or no? Yes. So seek what? Help. Seek care. Seek help. And for parents too, because of our children, we cannot care from a place of weakness. We cannot. So we need to do what? Seek help. Seek and you shall find. I'll be find. Yes. Seek. Oh God. We are laughing. English is not our father tongue. Better leave it like that. So seek and you shall find. And I said it again. Jesus Christ. You understand what I'm saying? So yes. So and you remember that word ask, seek, and knock. If you take ask, that's letter A, seek, letter S, and knock, letter K. So asking is done in 3 ways. You can verbally ask. You can look around and say, Sheba Mary. You are still doing what? Asking. Or you can say, Koko, please, I need help. You are still doing what? Asking. Yes. Very important. Very, very important. So it's important that we note this thing, that we seek help at any and at every point in time. So they are anxious, they are nervous, so they struggle to communicate, they act on impulse. The anxious avoidance or the anxious attachment, they act on impulse. So everything to them is, there are some people we refer to as natural warriors, not warriors, so warrior. They worry for free of charge. You want them to come and worry for your life, they can worry it. So the person is thinking, what if this chair now break this thing? And say, it's not possible, and this thing is bigger than say, I'm just thinking. You understand? Yes. And why? Because these things can be learned. As a matter of fact, science shows that schizophrenia, that vagrancy, you see those people that used to walk on the road, that used to be unduly suspicious, that used to naked themselves, and it can be learned. Depression can be learned. All you need to do is put a child in an environment where he can mirror depressed people. Finish. And the beautiful thing about depression is that if you mimic up to 3 or 4 symptoms of depression, you will be depressed. Because you send message back to your brain that it is possible to have it, and you will have it. Minus the fact that the law of practice, if you make something a habit, as in practice something for a duration of time, then it becomes a perpetual part of your life until you can unlearn that thing. So yes, it can be learned. So then the second one, the avoidant personality, or the avoidance attachment style. So these people are mostly professionals. They are dismissive about anything as long as it has to do with emotion. Just say, this life, if you don't have yourself, don't say you have anybody. It's not because they are self-confident. It's because they see it as too big a risk. The mother that jacked back before I even opened my eyes, just say, go and bring slippers. Before I came back, she was gone. She was never there. Any of my birthday. In fact, somebody told me, saying that when I was growing up, when my dad says, when he would say, bring money for so thing in school, if the day is time for that thing, if my father says, don't worry, I'll come to your school, just know that, oh Jesus. As long as that thing does not come out, say, Parents, be careful what you say to your children. So, we say invisible reputation is being formed. At that particular time, you're forming an invisible reputation. Yes, it's being formed. It's being formed. So yes, after a while, they discover that, see, it's better to, so when teacher asks for something, he goes to hustle. He doesn't even bother to tell his. Then when they say there's going to be a parent-teachers association program or meeting, he just go and say, please, is your mommy coming? And he's already bargaining and already asking people. Or say, see, my father is dead and my mother is in the village. And they're already planning. You know what? He's preparing a plan B for himself. Because he understands that whatever can and will go wrong at the worst time possible, and those are his parents. You understand? So yes, so these people has learned that people are terrible and it is difficult, rather impossible, to trust on people. You say, akbalara ejikani yekon. You understand? As in your hands and your whatever it is that you can do with your hand, that is what the only thing that is yours. Now tell me, if everything you have achieved in life is solely dependent on you, that means there's no grace. How far can you really go? So they struggle, not because they don't know how. So they learn to become professional so that they can close up to anything emotional. They say, don't bother yourself. If you want it done well, do it yourself. It's a lie. So these are those avoidant persons. So they dismiss, they minimize on things, they downplay emotions and important things in their life. The third category of attachment, the disorganized attachment. That's disorganized style. So we call these ones, we have had the anxious type at the front. This one we call them the fearful avoidant. So they can do two opposites at the exact same time. So for this person, you can be the very good person 100% and the very bad person 100% at the same time. To them, they have a split ideology of people, of things. So Nigeria is very good. At the same time, Nigeria is what? Very bad. They see things in the context of black and white. And black being number 1, white being number 100. They have forgotten from 2 to 99 in between that life is a shade of gray and not black or white. Very important. So who am I? What am I seeing? What do I have? What am I doing with myself? Very important that we know this thing. And like we said, the secure attachment. You see, trust, it's easy for them to develop trust, even though you still have to earn it. But they have a space in them to develop trust. Unlike the anxious avoidant or the anxious attachment that, see, there's nothing you can do, just see you. So, yes, the anxious one is completely, there's a particular personality type we refer to as borderline personality. Borderline personality means an individual that has been beaten and battered beyond post-traumatic issues. So it has become a lifestyle for them. So their emotion is either completely okay at the moment in the negative, or completely okay at the moment in the extreme positive. So if they don't like you and kissing you, they hate you, they want to shoot you in your head. So they run, we say, I've said it before, equilibrium, the middle part, where everything is. It's not too much, it's not too little. Yes, but they cannot walk the middle part. So they seem to be dependent at every point in time, whereas the avoidants are independent most or all of the time. And I said that the fearful avoidants, they are both dependent and independent, so they vacillate. Their emotion just run, shoot, like a gauge that is not working very fine. So you cannot really describe them as, you can just say, let's hope what today will bring. Yes. So unlike the secure attachment that they can trust, because there's a space there that can learn to trust. And how do we develop trust? Like we said, trust is earned. Number one, you say, I am capable of it. See, when it's not all of us that has 6-pack. Some of us have 1-pack. It's just one. So that we have it 1 does not mean it cannot grow into 6. We just need to exercise it. So it doesn't matter if you have the anxious attachment or the avoidant attachment, you understand, or the insecure one. We can all learn to what? To build those. So say, I am capable. Yes, I just need to develop that capability. I am capable. I just need to develop it. It's very important, one, that you understand that. That is very important. And number 2, so you see issues like dishonesty, controlling behavior, avoidance, and all those things that I've mentioned. But see, even when you know you are being dishonest, you are avoiding, you are confrontational, you are either confrontational and shouting in the person's face, or avoidant, completely dismissive of, or imploding. You understand? Just gaslighting yourself from within, or exploding, shouting. Just say, I am capable of learning, because every one of us is capable of learning. The only thing that has brought us thus far is because we have been exposed to certain things over a duration of time. So 2 things you need to do very quickly. Do a self-assessment, like I said, where we started at the beginning. The ideology of self-concept. What are the things within me, my internal environment? And what are the things that are around me? What are those things around that influence my inward behavior? So reflect. In which of these areas that we have stated do I require some adjustment? If you tell somebody change, it's not going to happen. But if you say adjustment, it is possible. And I tell you, 2-degree adjustments. over a period of 17 years, 10 years, 20 years, is more doable and more result focused than 25% adjustment that is not going to work. That is why a lot of people can't keep their New Year resolution. We have discussed it before. So, sir, ma, at this particular point in time, I hope I've been able to state a few things and convince you. Even if I have confused you, at least I've said something. You understand? Just that means you require special consultation. That yes, it is true, it is possible, and that this child that is on this seat, that particular individual, that this child that is representing all those your shortfalls and shortcomings, one, it can be adjusted. We can, like we say, everything we say in life or that has happened to us is a story. Whatever you believe in your head is a story you have told yourself. This narrative can change. We can change this chair to that of, in fact, to no chair, to this pulpit, where you are not only not standing erect, you are also able to communicate to other people. Because don't forget, whatever things we go through in life that are challenges are pointers to area where destiny will have us solve problem tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening.
A round of applause for Mr. Coker. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So much wisdom. So much wisdom in so short a time. So, sir, did you leave this here for me to rework my childhood? Thank you so much. Critical things, he said. Some very critical things. I would like to reinforce some of them quickly. So, he said there are 4 attachment styles: the secured, the anxious, avoidance, and disorganized. He said 2 critical things we must give to our children. They must know that they are free to express their emotions without consequence. In fact, when you first said they are free to express, I said, of course, why not? The child can express their emotions. When you now say without consequence, no. So I'll give you a case in point. And I don't know if this is bad or good. So I also need personal consultation, sir. So I noticed that sometimes when Latoya is, I'm sorry, by the way, Latoya is a 2-year-old I have that I cannot wait for her to go to her husband's house. You know? So when she wants something and you don't give it to her or something, you know, she just begins to throw tantrums, and the next thing I just notice that she'll just go on the floor. You know, go on the floor and be doing, okay, I'm observing. You know, so after a while again, notice you go on the floor again, be doing, I mean, I don't believe, because they didn't beat me, I will not be normal. Me, I know. Me, I know. They didn't beat me. So she'll go on the floor, you know, because we take to have her. You understand what I mean? You understand what I mean by take? So God knew that normally, if it's based on the year I got married, I should be having my grandchildren by now. You know? Then I also realized that God also knew that if I had, you know, I should have had like 4 kids by now. So at least there's a particular budget I should have been spending on food every month, Abi. But God now gave that appetite to 1. So the budget of 4 I'm spending on 1. I know she will just enter into, Lala, that's what she calls me. She doesn't realize that, you know, I'm a consultant, I'm a strategist to, you know, global brands. She doesn't care. Lala, come. Let me come. She will say, Lala, horse riding. You know what horse riding is? That me, I will go down. She will climb on my back. She will now say, Lala, giddy up. I could never have tried that with Baba Bayo. I will not be here. Me, I'll tell Baba Bayo to go down, not force. I will now say, Baba Bayo, giddy up. Only my giddy up. Yeah. Because even if I'm here, and you people say, Lala, face front, I will say I'm facing front. Say, Lala, face front, I'll have to do like this to face front. You know why? The slap Baba Bayo would have given me, you know, my face cannot be straight again. So just say, Lala, come. Giddy up. Ebano. You know what Ebano is? Ebano. She will now get into the Ebano. She just say, aeroplane. Truck. Blue truck. She will pick it to, she will see, ambulance truck. Money truck. Blue ambulance. They are all truck. She will pick it. Then she will pick like 4. Meanwhile, you understand, sir? You understand? You know, koye that this Buhari, you understand? Exchange rate, you understand? You know, I will now say, just pick one. She will say no. He says it's the 4. I said, pick one. He said, no, it's the 4. And I said, okay, we are picking one. She will now go on what she's been doing it. She now manifested. She now go on the floor. Well done. When we got home one day, I was waiting for her. She just did all those. She just went on the floor. Finally, I just picked belts. No, she was still on the floor. Sir, maybe I should not say it because her grandmother is watching. After flogging it, and I said, "Are you still on the floor?" He said, "No, Lala, I will cry standing up. I can cry standing up." I said, "Oh, so you can cry standing up?" He said, "Yes, I will cry standing up. I'm crying. But you are standing." He said, "Yes." Hey, since that day, anytime she misbehaves, I said, "You want to lie on the floor?" "No, I will cry standing up. I will cry standing up." You will not cry standing up. You will not cry standing up. So, critical thing he said we cannot care from a place. That's the communication. Okay. So, fold it in 2 equal halves. Have you done that? I need you to tear off the top right corner. Tear off the top right corner just like I've done. Then fold it in 2 equal halves. So you folded it in 2 equal halves. You tore off the top what? Right corner. Online. I need you to fold it in 2 equal halves again and tear off the top left corner. Top left corner, top right, left. Then fold it in 2 equal halves again and tear off the top right corner. Top right, top left, top right. Now, if we all heard the thing I said and we all did it exactly the way I've said it, we should have the same thing, Abi. But let's know the people. So as you unfold, actually, So when you unfold these sheets of paper, you should have exactly what I have here. Shola, do you want extra sheet? You want extra sheet? If you did exactly what I said, we should have this. Pastor Ayo, you will make heaven, sir. Do anyhow, you will still make heaven. Pastor, people like Pastor Ayo, heaven is sure for them. But there are people here I don't want to call names, sir. You will make heaven, sir. There are people here I don't want to call name. There is one person, the paper is even intact. Nothing has happened to the paper. And he's doing like this. Moyana. So, let me see the people that are asking for 50K. Let me see you. You know what you have. It's not what I'm holding up. Let me see it. Woman of God. Olamide kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Ilé ayé, ilé asán. What happened to Olamide's own? Olamide, I don't. Let me see your own. Sir, this was navigating. Architect ni is too. Man, let me see yours. Okay. No, smiley. Our own is a smiley. Let me see the different emojis we all created. Let me see. Your own, sir. Shile. Leave our church. Don't come to our church again. Go and start your own church. We don't want. Bukola, what is that? Bukola, our own is a face mask. The only thing that remains is just to put rope. Olamide. Wait. What do you do for a living, Olamide? What do you do for a living? Do you know how? Are you serious that? Do you realize that thing under actually looks like a human being? Olamide said the truth. Now, did I give the same instruction to everybody? We all heard the same thing. However, did you see how some people are still saying, wow, some people did not even say send 50K, since that 100K, they said, send 100K. Can you see how, despite the fact that everybody heard the same thing, the results were all different? I'll be inviting to bring up our next speaker, a pillar. And I say that because I understand that and I said I should not put pastor in front of his name, but it's heavy in my mouth. So I find it very difficult not to put pastor in front of their name. The way they brought me up, if you do not do some things properly, the way they will beat me, I will be crying standing up, if you understand what I mean. Now, for Ayo Daniels to be the way he is, it's obvious that somebody is ensuring that, that supply of grace. Otherwise, some of us know that if Pastor Ayo was married to somebody else, Pastor Ayo said, Dangbana Choko. Yeah, because I know that some people are not aware. So when they misbehave, Pastor Ayo just look and say, go. But Pastor Ayo, no, grace. If Pastor Ayo was married to, if I was a female, Pastor Ayo was married to someone like me, any Lighthouse Christian Center, at my be limited is here. Limited it my here. What the enterprise here. So I'm inviting this amazing woman, a pillar of support, to bring up the next speaker. Please make welcome Pastor Folake.
Good afternoon. Wow. That's okay. Nice to see your faces. I was almost saying praise the Lord, but it's praise the Lord all the same because we are still in the house of the God. Hallelujah. Pardon me. I'm so used to that. Okay. How many of us we have learned something cogent? How many of us have made decisions to do something? It's not enough to learn, you must do. If you don't do, then learning is in vain. Am I right? Okay, so our second guest, amazingly, I think he's also in line with Mr. Kuka, kind of. Okay, so please welcome with me Mr. John Asiegbu. Pastor John. You say I shouldn't put pastor. You used to say I shouldn't put pastor. Okay. Mr. John Asiegbu is recognized as Africa's leading emotional intelligence expert, working with individuals, families, and organizations to maximize potential and achieve their goals by leveraging the power of emotional intelligence. He is presently the lead consultant at Evius Consulting, a company that helps organizations to achieve strategic goals through consulting and training in strategy, customer retention, emotional intelligence, customer relationship, effective communication, productivity, leadership, team bonding, sales, and project management. He's also a certified therapist, coach, and counselor, majoring in public speaking, stress, depression, and anger management. Please welcome with me this afternoon Mr. John Asiegbu to Family Life Conference.
Please, you may have your seat. Okay, please, sir, leave the keyboard. I'm not a pastor. Let's start from there. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor to be here today. I'm going to be moving about a lot because I'm very exposed to trainings, and so I understand from practice that you're more effective when you move around. But before I start, I want to say a big thank you to Pastor Ayo and Pastor Folake. I'll tell a little story, backstory. He may not remember. So many years ago, I was in my final year. I was leading my fellowship on campus and president of the fellowship. And so Pastor used to come to campus to organize programs for undergraduates. And then it was Pastor Benga, a very good Egbon of mine, who would go ahead. He came and then he would come to the Joint Campus Christian Fellowship meeting to sell the idea to the campus fellowship leaders. And then because we had a good relationship coming way back, and my friend and covenant brother Ola also was on campus then, and so I was asked to join, to help out in some things. I think we used some equipment of my fellowship at the time. And so we were to receive Pastor Ayo the day he arrived, at Futa Junction. And as president of fellowship, I know the way I'm treated. There's this. And then Pastor Ayo shows in his normal shirt and chinos. And I'm like, is this the pastor from Lagos? So I started learning humility. From that point, he does not remember. I'm sure he does not remember. And it's amazing how we leave impact on people even without knowing. It's been almost 15 years of that experience, and I can remember. So I want to say thank you, sir. Thank you for all you do. I celebrate you. Yes, my name is John Asiegbu. The only Bible verse I will quote is that man is a spirit, he has a soul, and lives in a body. This is being very intentional. I am not a pastor. Because I'm going to begin to sound and then you begin to... I don't want to be put in a box. What I've learned is that you relate to people the way you perceive them. And they cannot be anything else to you beyond the way you perceive them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are there parents here? You're a parent, a guardian, It's not your child, but your sister's child. A teacher. I came for you. Single people. The person that came for you has delivered his assignment. So I'm an emotional intelligence expert. I have an MBA thesis on the analysis of the components of emotional intelligence. Psychology is wide. I picked emotional intelligence, and I chose to be a master in it. So I help individuals, groups, and organizations to leverage the power of emotions to maximize their potential, and live life to the fullest. And I understand human behavior, just like Mr. Coker here. I understand how people behave, what inspires how they behave, and I'm able to transcribe it into real-life events and use it to help people. And so, as time went on, I started interacting with young people by virtue of what I do. So I speak at events, I train, I author books, I do therapy. And when I go to speak to kids, I realize that I'm just able to connect with them. It just happens. In fact, that's why I'm here. Should I explain to you how I got here? So, in August, my friend Ola calls me on maybe a Tuesday or something, or less than a week, and he says, "Oh, can you come to Lagos? We're having our teens camp. I just want you to come and talk to the children." And I go, "Guy, this is too short a notice." He says, "Try." I said, "Okay." So that morning, I live in Ibadan. I shot in Ibadan, Lagos, but I live in Ibadan most of the time. I found my way here, and I came straight across this room into, I think they were using a room on the other side. I went in, the kids were playing, and their teacher said, "Gather around, the person who is talking to you is here." So I grabbed the pen, I went to the board, and I wrote. And they all were looking teenagers, so they were looking like, "Who is this guy?" So I wasn't dressing like this. And so they were like, "Who is this small boy?" Because I was wearing sneakers and chinos, and I looked like them. I'm small in stature. So they were like, "Who is this guy? What is he here to do?" And then I started talking. The first thing I said to them is that, feel free to use your phone, talk to your friend. You don't have to listen to me. Do whatever you like. I'll just keep writing. And then they all were like, one shouted, "Are you whining us?" And then I turned back. I said, "What do you think?" When we finished, bottom line, when we finished, Pastor Flake said, "Whatever you said to those children that made them say the time we gave you was too short, we want you to come and tell it to their parents." So that's why I'm here. There are two generations I want to talk about. Generation Z and the Alpha generation. Many people know about Generation Z. Everybody born from 1997 to 2009-ish. So 25 years and above, right? 25 years to about 12. Over 25-ish, 30-ish are the millennials, yes? Then there's the Alpha generation, 12 years and below. So I'm going to be speaking to the parents, guardians, and teachers as regards these two generations. Only one is written here. Now, there's Gen Z. There are some of them are here. Are you 21 here? 21? 25? 25? Okay. So there's no Gen Z here. Gen Z is 25, 27, let's say 27 and below. 27. Okay. So who said Gen Z? Okay, it was the anchor that was saying Gen Z were here, so I assumed they were here. That's one of their characteristics. They constitute 25% of the world population. They are presently the largest generation, the singular largest generation. And they are the shapers of the future. what parents are seeing now is a type and shadow. So those of us who have the alpha generation, I'm trying to tell you what to expect. Let me use politics as an example. You know they call them the Sorosuke generation. The ones that are coming after them, they will ground the government. Should I explain how they will do that? They will leverage technology. They will leverage, I'm telling you what will happen. So some of the things I will say are not things that are happening. And they will ground, they will be stakeholders. You will not be able to do anything without them. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This also to help parents prepare. The average 19-year-old now has a business. Do you agree with me? When you were 19, what were you doing? You were trying to pass your exam. I have a 19-year-old chap who is a photographer. He's in, I think it's Lagos State University. He's a photographer. He presently does not depend on his parents for financial, so he sends himself to school. But let me not jump the gun. I said there's fire on the mountain. If you move to the next slide. I'll give you some statistics. According to WHO, depression is highest amongst people within the ages of 15 and 29. Okay? According to statistics in Nigeria, about 33% of young girls have either committed abortion or have a child out of wedlock. Okay? As at age 12, at least 1 out of every 14 children would have experienced depression. Let me tell you something else about depression and suicide. Every 20 seconds, this is a global research, somebody is committing suicide in the world. Every 20 seconds. Of every successful suicide happening, there are about 200 attempts that did not succeed. Am I making sense to you? And I've just said earlier that a lot of depression and suicide is happening amongst young people. Do you agree? When I did my thesis on emotional intelligence, I found out that as you grow older, your level of emotional intelligence actually increases. So chances that a 60-year-old will commit suicide is very low. Stay with me. Chances that a 50, 60, 70-year-old will commit suicide is very low because they've seen life. They've come to the point where they have accepted certain things and they will not take certain actions because they understand beyond the immediate. Now, let me tell you the danger of these generations, the two that I just described. The times that they were born is potentially a problem to them as much as it is good. Are we together? So when we were growing up, the average person started watching TV at 4 p.m. and we used to watch black and white. So you go to school in the morning, you come back around 1, 2 p.m. Are we together? And then TV came on around 4. And then it went off around, is it 4 or 6? And then it went off around 10. And then when they finished the news, what's the next thing? The national anthem. Da, 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 da. And then that was the end of the day. Till the next day, so there was no DSTV. Gen Z, do you understand what I'm saying? No, you can't. So, when you were young, you were forced to interact with people. And then we didn't live in estates most of the time. Some of us lived in streets. Some of us in face me, I face you. You don't know what you escaped. Pastor Ayo is talking about community. We are losing community. It's affecting the psyche of the people. And then we are turning towards individualism that's going to be a danger to our functioning, both as individuals and as a people. The first people that have been hit are the Gen Z. They are seriously hit. As smart as they are, and I'm going back to the parenting part of things, as resourceful as they are the most emotionally vulnerable generation before the alpha generation. The reasons are this. they don't know how to handle failure. There's a young boy whose girlfriend cheated him and he committed suicide. Another one failed the exam, committed suicide. I wrote JAMB about 3 times. I am here. This is not funny. A child who is living with you now in the house. So I'm like a voice crying from the wilderness. I'm not going to be very interesting. I'm just going to be very instructional. Might be going through a process that you do not know anything about. And what is happening today is that we have parents there are 2 categories of parents. One, the ones who are unaware of the fact that there is fire on the mountain. And 2, the ones who are aware but don't know what to do about it. I'm talking about when your kid comes home and is always in his room. And he doesn't come down to sit down in the living room. And whenever you want to have a conversation, the kid is avoiding you. There's already trouble. If your child is always sitting down in their room and not wanting to come down and interact, there is already trouble. The level of drug abuse among young people from the ages of 17. 3 weeks ago, I met a 21-year-old girl who says she smokes every day weed. 21-year-old girl. It's not, I went to train somewhere. She's an undergraduate. ASU is on strike. So she went to the school to teach. Very decent-looking girl. She goes to church in the evening. I know. Her father is a pastor. She goes to church in the evening. But at night, she will smoke weed. In the morning before she goes back to work, she will smoke weed. She told me because, like I said, I'm able to connect with younger people. And I asked her, how much do you spend a month? She said, minimum 5,000 naira. I said, how do you get it? She said she has a dealer. That should be hard like this. If she wants it, it's a phone call. I said, where do you get the money? I thought you don't get paid. She said, it doesn't have to be my money. There's fire on the mountain. And what I'm saying is not far-fetched though. Like I said, if you see this lady, she doesn't look, and she's actually not a bad girl. She's just a young girl who has been predisposed by life. And many times the behavior that they display is a symptom. It's not the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? The behavior is a symptom. So many times when a parent sees a child doing something, they attack the symptom instead of looking for what the real cause of the problem is. So if you're a parent listening to me, and I'm going to say some things that will be, so let me follow. Number 1, your kids are way smarter than you think. Parenting with emotional intelligence. They are way smarter. So the way you were raised, like I said earlier, you cannot afford to follow that same pattern. You can't. It's dead on arrival. Very dead on arrival. That is why they can talk to a stranger instead of talking to you. So there's a young girl, the last time I came here, I can't quite remember her face, but I noticed that she was pulling on me. And I said this with all seriousness. I wish I could meet the parent, but I don't think she's up to 18. So I told her, I can't talk to you until I meet your parent and I have their approval. And all she was saying to me was, nobody has ever understood me like this. You have to come back. I don't think I remember to mention it that day. There are things they go through that parents have not created the avenue to allow them to communicate. And so we have children who are just in the house, but they are not in the house. Do you know today, a person can be here and be somewhere else, like fully present somewhere else and here. Like fully present. So we are here in this room, somebody here is not here. After this meeting, ask the person, what did they say? The person will remember one thing, but ask the person what happened in the other place where they were. They will tell you everything that happened there. The power of technology. So we have a powerful generation. Powerful to the point of possible destruction, I like to say. Powerful yet so vulnerable. Predisposed, easily influenced. They don't know what to say yes to and what to say no to. You think they are 21, 22, and they don't. They are just smart. They speak English. But when it comes to something that will affect their life, they make mostly the wrong decisions. So I said they are smart, but please, that does not mean their smartness. So there's the emotional and the thinking brain. Their logical part, the part of their brain, Mr. Coker will know this, is very developed beyond yours. So you cannot hide your password from the average young person, but they can hide theirs from you. An average 2-year-old will watch the way you draw your pattern, will unlock the phone, go to YouTube, pick the video, and play the video. You know they watch, you know. Yes. But when they hide something from you, you will never find it. They can have 3 WhatsApp on their phone. You know how some parents want to routine check. I want to see what you are doing. And you think the one, so there's the one they show you. And then there's the other one. That's the reason to have a connection with your kids. Because when they get in trouble, they can only talk to who they trust. Are you that person? Or is it their friends on Facebook? I said they are vulnerable. The young girl you see in the next slide, please move. This girl, I know her. This is her Facebook page. And can you see what she wrote there? Can I get hearts? I lost mine. So they would rather you like their picture than actually tell them they are beautiful or call them over the phone. The average young person today don't like phone calls. You can do your research. They want to chat with you. So the question is, how many parents have the time, energy, and even know how to use WhatsApp to the point of chatting with them for hours? They spend minimum of 12 hours a day on their phones, in class, in the toilet, except when maybe they are closing their eyes. Gen Z, they know they are there. They know I'm saying the truth. Now, why I'm saying all of this is, if we will influence them, we will need to connect with them. And so what I say to parents is, you cannot connect with them from where you are. Please listen to this. You will need to go to where they are and then bring them to where you want them to be. You see what I just described? It sounds very simple, but it's very technical. So, you cannot call a child that is 14, 15, 16 now and you put the TV on CNN and you ask them, come, let's watch TV together. That's punishment. But put it on MTV base and sit down with them and then you watch. So now you want to stop a child from watching adult video, or you want to teach them that some of these videos are not so good. You will not just say it to them. You will play the video with them, watch it together, ask them, what do you think about the video? I like the beat, the vibe. That's what is vibe. Life is vibe. They are smiling at me seriously. They're like, who is this guy? So they like, and then, okay, beyond the vibe, can you listen to what are they saying? He's saying, okay, so what does that mean? Why should somebody? And then they reason with you. You give them power. The average teenager has a phone. Anybody that has a phone is potentially powerful. You don't know how powerful they are. Now, you cannot give a person power and you expect them to be afraid. Fear is the absence of knowledge. The more you know, the less you will be afraid about anything in life. Do you understand what I'm saying? So your kids are fearless, and that's why they ask you questions. They're like, who are you talking to? Am I or me? But you give them the power. So be ready to answer questions or shutting them down. That's another thing I want to teach as a parent, parenting with emotional intelligence. When a child is voicing their opinion, I am telling you I'm your mother. No. You have given them the license to engage, and you have to engage in return. And you will engage with an open mind where you engage with a listening ear. If you don't do that, they will shut you out. They are very skilled at that. So I'm here to give you things that they will shut you out successfully. They will be at home, but they will not be at home. You will be sending them on errands. They will deliver your errands, but their spirit is somewhere else. They are doing something else, and they just want to please you. And the day they step out of the house, a parent had to call me to say, please come and talk to my son. I said, what did the boy do? He said, that once he enters into university, that he wants to go to the US, and that once he goes, he's not coming back. He said it to his mother. He's in SS1 or SS2. And mother was afraid, saying, yeah, what have I? You know what shocked her is that he's not a vocal person, so he just said it in a casual conversation. So for a child to get to that point, imagine what that child has processed in his head. So traditional parenting expired in 1997. OT expired, man. You can agree. You can disagree. Now, am I saying you should not spank a child? No. Okay, I'll try and quote another verse of the Bible. Second one, and probably the last. The Bible says, foolishness lies in the heart of a child. See, this does not answer to Western. The same way the concept of marriage is not up for debate how it should be run. Because you can't, someone who didn't start something cannot tell how it should be done. Am I making sense? It's as simple as that. You can't bring your opinion on a matter that you did not initiate. And you say, this my view has to be law. Except you sat there when they wrote the constitution for that thing. Am I talking to someone? So all of us who carry this opinion of, I don't want to go into the details. We are just deceiving ourselves. Because it's going to collapse whatever we build. If it is not built on the foundation. Same way. The way we parent our children. So, before you cane a child today, this is what I'll tell you to do. You sit down with the child, you broke the plate. I told you a couple of times to be careful with the plate. But this is about the third time you are breaking the plate. So, I'm going to whoop your ass, permit me for the language, so that you will remember not to do that again, so that you'll be more careful next time. Then you take the cane, you turn the child around. Please don't leave a mark on your child. Please, as much as possible, don't leave any mark on your child. That's the psychology that we're talking about. You whoop the bomb, let the thing be painful, so the child will cry. When you finish, you tell the child, I love you very much. Go and cry, you'll feel better in time. What I just told you will make your child interpret that punishment as love. Are you understanding what I'm saying? What I just said seems very simple, but to save a long-term relationship with your child. Because if you say, oh, in the Western world, go to your room, you are grounded. Grounded and they have their phones. Grounded and they, in fact, let me teach you this. The Gen Zs will not like this one. And the Alpha people. If you want to punish a child today, the most powerful way is to collect their phones from them. And their laptops. They are dead. D-E-A-D, dead. And I think that what our parents did to us, the percentage of people that are struggling with a low self-esteem are very high. Even some that are performing. Most people are performing at about 1/3 of their actual capacity because of how their parents treated them. They may be successful, but they could have been better. But they struggle. I know successful people who have low self-esteem. So there are questions we need to ask ourselves. And I said emotional intelligence is the answer. Self-awareness is a lot of what Mr. Coker talked about. Understanding your internal and external self. Who am I? What are my strengths and my weaknesses? What are my values? What are my perceptions? Will help you to determine how you relate with yourself and how you relate with other people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you know your strengths and your weaknesses as an individual? Can you take a sheet of paper when you get home today, draw a table, put strengths on the left, weaknesses on the right, and write 5 things about yourself that you think are spectacular? How do you know them? 1, I can do it without external motivation. 2, I can do it without being paid. 3, I can do it better than others. Those are your strengths. The same thing, your weaknesses will be the opposite. And so you are able to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And that is why I said that the ability to identify and verbalize the emotions that we experience per time is everything for how a child will function, anxiety and stress. So a lot of children are not allowed to express how they feel, like we had learned earlier. And it cages them in their mind and it limits them in their functioning. And we wonder how, when they go out sometimes, they come back and they say that, okay, they were in school and people were talking and you did not talk. Why didn't you talk? Why don't you answer? There are some kids who will not answer questions in class because they are afraid of being booed or their self-esteem has been battered. Why? Because when they're at home and they are trying to say something, mommy says, keep quiet. So that thing about being able to express your emotions without fear of consequence is very critical. Now, emotions don't carry any sex or any power. Emotions are simply our body telling us what is going on within and around us. So they are neutral. Anger is neutral. Happiness is neutral. Whatever you do with it is what makes the difference. A happy person, so happiness can be good and happiness can be bad. Are we together? When you are very excited, any decision you make when you are very excited is most likely not the best decision. The same way any decision you make when you're very happy when you're very angry is most likely not the best decision. So some people, when they are very excited, they give out their best stuff. Like they just got a new equipment and they have a purpose for that thing. Maybe it's a wheel or something. And then they are very happy and then someone comes, this thing is fine. Oh, do you want it? Take. And then 2 hours later, they're like, but I want to use that thing. So you can see that any emotion can be good or bad depending on what we do with it. And as a parent, you have to first learn emotional intelligence for yourself before you can then be an emotionally intelligent parent. So when we define emotional intelligence, we define it as the ability to want to acknowledge, to understand, and to accept your emotions and that of others for the purpose of productivity and growth. So there is the intra and there is the inter in how we manage emotions. Am I making sense to you? So there is self-awareness and self-regulation that is within your power. Then there is social skill and empathy and relationship management that is between you and those around you. And what will determine your success as a parent is your level of being able to read your own emotions. Because some parents, because they cannot manage their emotions, they create certain kind of children. So I say that an angry parent will create an angry child. You cannot give what you don't have. What you have, you will definitely give. Are we together? Emotions are like energy. They can be exchanged. So if you sit in a room with a sad person, you can become sad after a while. If you sit in a room with an angry person, you can become angry after a while. You see, as neutral as emotions are, they then have the weird power to determine the life of a man. Do you remember the story of Moses in the Bible? Do you know what happened after when they were at the wilderness and God said, go speak to the rock and the rock will bring out water for you to drink? You remember what he did to the rock? What did he do? Why did he do that? He was angry. What happened afterwards? You see, the children of Israel represent life and people. You cannot dictate what will come from outside. You can only dictate how you respond to it. And so, Moses went to the mountain and saw the promised land. The people, they drank the water. do you see how emotions very powerful they are? The people who made him, set him up to, sabotage his destiny, eventually entered the promised land. So the next time someone gets you angry and you feel like carrying a chair and hitting the person on the head, remember that if that person dies from that hit, you are going to go to jail. The next time you are going to spank your child, remember that if you mistakenly hit the wrong place and permanently damage that person, you will not forgive yourself ever. There are parents who have done things that they cannot tell anybody by mistake. So when you hear a child say, I don't have anything to do with my mom, I don't have anything to do with my father, go and check very well. And those are the things we need to avoid. Are we together? So I've said earlier, I said you have to go where they are for you to bring them where where you want them to be. You cannot influence them from afar. It is impossible to influence a child today from afar. I know we are busy and that's okay. But please, in the little time that you create, go into their rooms. Spend time with them. Ask open questions. Don't ask questions like you are an investigator. You know, I said earlier that they are smarter than you. So they already know your intentions, and so they will answer you sometimes just to dispose of you. Yeah. I know the answer mommy wants. So they will give you your answer as you go, and you think you have achieved something. You've achieved nothing. So a child will behave so well at home, and you will hear from school that they caught the child taking drugs, and you'll be like, whose child? It's not my child. It can't be my child. It's a lie. It's not a lie. Do you remember the story of the lady who killed the man in Lagos? When they told her father, what did he say? He said, it's not possible that my daughter can do such a thing. Because when she's going home, she dresses nice, changes her clothes. But when she's going out, she looks completely different. So the child you see at home may not necessarily be the child that's going outside. Another shocker is, back in the day, we worry that our girls marry as virgins. Present research is that you worry that your child has a womb by the time she's getting married. Like I said, I'm like a voice crying from the wilderness. When I was growing up, I never saw a teenager pregnant. I never. Today, I know my wife's younger cousin. She's 19. She has a 1-year-old son. A child. Raising a child. I know of a Bayelsa, 16-year-old girl has a baby. So what's going to happen? Do you really know what matters to them? You know, when we were growing up, because we were engaged, right? Gifts appeal to us. Items appeal to us. New clothes appeal to us. Please know as a parent that those things do not appeal to this generation. You know why? Because they can get it. So I would advise parents that in the coming years, when you are making money, spend half of that money on like vacations with the kids, anything that will involve you and them together, more than you spend it on buying clothes and toys. You know why? Any amount of money you think you have made, they will make multiples. Money will not be their problem. So mommy, daddy, don't worry. Whether they go to formal education or not, they will not be broke. So let's settle that one. Why I'm saying this is so that you know where to channel your energy. Because the money that they will make may put them into trouble. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can be so, when you're young and you have not developed emotional temerity and you get so much wealth, you overdose with drug. That's what happens. They are so excited. There's so much money. Look at the young artist. Someone who was in the village suddenly did one hit song, signed to a label, now has money and cash. What do you think is going on? So if the parenting and the background work is properly done, when they get exposed, because everybody will get exposed to life. You will get exposed to life. And so it is, they say in Yoruba that it is what the bird eats, that the bird will do what? When your child encounters trouble outside, will they be willing to come to talk to you about it? Or will they say, my parents are the last set of people they will start? So let me move to the next slide. I said that yelling is counter communication. So I created a case scenario of, before I go, please go back. So love, quality time, validation, and inclusion. You don't have to use their idea, but listen to it. Because they want to be heard. Am I making sense to you? Are you learning something? The time is short. We can't do everything, but I would like to, please, When your child wants to talk on the subject matter that the family is discussing, listen to the child. Then explain to him or her why you may not go with that idea at this time. Not to shut the child down to say you are saying rubbish. There is no foolish idea. There are just ideas that we may not be able to use at this time. It's as simple as that, and the child will be like, okay, no problems. But where you don't include, so these kids, you cannot make decisions for them. Else they will make decisions without you. Now, when you include them in decisions that affect them, when they want to make certain decisions, they will come back to you. Am I making sense? And that way, you are able to influence them. The goal here is influence. Because if you don't do the influencing, some other people will do it. Social media will do it. Social media, oh God, have mercy. Now, I like to say that yelling is counter communication. Mommy, the mommy's in the house. Please stop shouting. So, this is what happens. When you shout at the average person, everybody wants to protect themselves. So the child develops a wall against you. And the child will do what you ask them to do without shouting, but they've not heard you. So when you see a child repeating the same mistake again and again, after you have shouted, can't you see that it's your shouting that is making him not to hear? It's true, Abby. The Gens here, they are with me. They are always with me. I understand them very well. It is the shouting. So sit down and have a conversation. So why do you keep repeating this thing? What can I do to help you do better? I've been saying this. You will not kill me, this child. You will not kill me. You will not kill me. In fact, do quick and go to your husband's house. A child that is 12. I'm in my own husband's house. You cannot kill me here. That is how we raise children who in the future will not want anything to do with us. There are some kids that will send money, but they won't call you. They will send money. Because maybe when you were raising them, you told them that go to school so that you'll be responsible. At my old age, I have someone to take care of me. So they will take care of you, quite all right, but they won't be involved. And everybody loves attention. Everybody wants to be cared about and for, including your children. So even when they're acting like, I don't want to talk, Mommy, is that you have not used the right approach. And those are some of the approach I'm teaching you now. So when I meet a young person, I know what to do within the first 5 minutes to get them comfortable. And then we start having a conversation to the point where they can tell me, and just bring me the kid and tell me what information you want to extract. I will help you extract it. You want to know whether they are doing it, I will help you. You want to know whether the girl has a boyfriend, I will help you. So this is what happened. A girl comes and tests the mother. She says, Mommy, Tola has a boyfriend in school. This guy is about 12, 13 years old. And the mommy goes, what? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I have to call our mother. You have failed the test. You have failed with what? A trust test. So, you call the mother, whatever happens to Tola, and sometimes maybe even be hypothetical. So, this is what you do. Hey, Tola has a boyfriend. Really, do you know him? How old is he? What class is he? Okay. Do you know, do they go out together and everything? And then you can take that information and call Tola's parents privately and say, there is trouble. My daughter said XYZ, XYZ. And then you will tell Tola's parents, please do not tell Tola where the information came from. Then on a neutral day, you now call your own daughter and say, hey, that thing you told me 2 weeks ago, how about you? Do you have a boyfriend? And then the child said, okay, Mommy did not shout when I told her. So maybe I can tell her, I don't have a boyfriend, but there is this boy in my class that is always liking me. Then you can then follow biblical principles to begin to influence the child. So when you shout, you are not saying anything. We were shouted at and we succumbed because we didn't have options. Not because we liked it. Some of us became better people, in quote, yes, but no, we could be much better if we were loved and cared for. Am I making sense to you? So we don't want to repeat the same mistake with a different kind of generation. You can get them to do anything you want them to do, actually. I can get any young person to do. So that day when I came here, they sat down. I'm sure even they don't know how. They sat down for 1 hour. And I finished and I said, I was going, and said, you cannot go. And I heard that other teachers who had been coming before me, they were in a hurry for the classes to end. But me, they said the time was too short. Trust is earned through consistency. Mr. Kuka said something about that. Consistency in the things you say and the way you act with the child as a parent will help them to form a connection with you. Do you keep to your word? In fact, I have a personal experience. My wife says to me, don't tell me what you are going to do. Just do it. Do you understand? And over time, I realized that I was coming from somewhere. Don't tell me what you are going to do. Just do it. So that I don't have any expectation. Because in the past, I had expectations and it wasn't fulfilled. That inconsistency can cause a damage to the psychology of the child and may live with them, like we had heard earlier, over many years. And this is the biggest problem. They will not be able to trust you. And where they don't trust you, you cannot influence someone. It is someone who trusts you that will open themselves up for you to influence. Am I making sense to you? So influence cannot happen if there is no trust. And if there is no influence, then we cannot have the kind of outcomes that we want in the lives of our children. So it is important that we are sensitive to how consistent we are in the things we say and how we behave with them. Now, I said that between what is said but is not meant and what is meant but not said, a lot of love is lost. Should I say that again? Between what is said but not meant. So when you are angry at your child, there are certain things you say, but you don't mean those things sometimes. Like when a mother says, cause the child Olori Buruku, you know the mother does not mean it. No mother wants her child to be that. But it has registered in the brain of the child. That. And until the child becomes an adult, the loudest voice in the head of that child is your voice. Daddy, mommy. The loudest voice until they start hearing from God or they become an adult, the loudest voice in their head is your voice. So whatever you say is superior to what anybody says outside. So that's why a girl will grow up and a guy will try to say certain things to her, and she goes, because her dad has told her she's beautiful. She's an angel. So when a guy says you're an angel, But where the dad has not done that, what will happen? The first guy that says you're an angel, is the reason why a good girl will go to the university and get pregnant. We have to be sensitive to the emotional construct of our children. Watch their behavior. Watch their emotions. Ask them how they are feeling. Please randomly ask your child, how are you feeling? When you say how are you to someone, they say they are fine. So I'm teaching you practicals of emotional intelligence application here. Everybody says fine. But when you say to someone, how are you feeling? Tendency is that they may first say fine, then keep quiet. Don't say anything else. Then they will continue. This is almost predictable. I use it all the time. When you say, how are you feeling? The person will say, I'm okay. Just pause. They will think about the question again. How are you feeling? They'll say, I just feel a bit stressed or tired. How did that come about? Before you know it, you're already having a 1 hour conversation. Is that something you can use? Is that something you can use? Now, when you ask closed question, did you like the food? the child will say yes. Was the food sweet? The person will say yes. But when you say, what do you think about the food? You are creating a room for conversation. Am I making sense? You know why? Because they want to talk. It's hard for them to keep quiet. They want to talk. If you don't allow them to talk, they will not like you. Do you understand what I'm saying? The moment they start talking, I keep quiet. I allow them finish everything. Sometimes what they are saying is nonsense. But I allow them finish it. I say, oh, okay, that happened. Okay. And then they'll be relaxed and then they will listen. They listen. They actually do listen. Trust me, I've met the most difficult one. They listen. They are not as stubborn as you think. You don't just know how to handle them. And I don't blame anybody. You were not trained for it. Nobody was trained. The same way, all these things we are teaching about marriage, you will still enter there. Some things will hit you. You'll be like, but I went to marriage counseling now. No, it's not automatic. But that's why we keep learning every day. So if we are going to raise a generation that will be secure, a generation who the resources that God will put into their hands, they will use it productively, then we must be intentional as parents. We must be able to understand that every child is different. And you should not treat all your children the same way. So it takes a level of self-awareness to know the difference between the strengths and the weaknesses of your children so that you know how to interact with each and every one of them. Some people like to be yelled, some people like to be spoken to, some people don't like to be spoken to. There are some people that if you cane them, they will listen. There are some people that if you sit down and talk to them, they will listen. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you know the difference, you know the best way to relate with the person. Our parents relate to all of us the same way. Which is why some of us turned out better than the others. Because the way they related with us worked better for some and did not work well for the others. So if we're going to do better, then we must become more intentional and do it differently. So that all our children bring us joy at the end of the day. Because there's no bad child anywhere. In fact, there's no bad person anywhere. Nobody came from heaven bad. It is our experiences that shape us and then make us become a certain way. So if we have good and productive children, it will be as a result of our own efforts to help the children get better. So what do you do when your child, for instance, tell you that they want to make a decision that is against your own decision? How do you convince them? Are you going to tell them, I'm the parent, you have to do what I want you to do? You don't talk when I'm talking? Are you going to ask them why they want to make that decision? Many times, because of the limit, like I said, they may be very smart, but they don't think very far. It takes a level of emotional temerity for you to... It's a staying person that thinks far. Someone who does not have emotional temerity thinks only on the immediate. I wanted to throw an arrow right now, but I may have many enemies after this. Do you know that the logical part of the brain of a man is more active than the emotional part of the brain of a man? Do you also know that the emotional part of the brain of a woman is more active than the logical part of the brain of a... So does it now make sense when a woman easily forgets the things the husband did for her and comes back a month after and says, what did you do? The man got it. He said, Because the information was stored in the brain of the man. But the woman enjoyed the moment and has moved on. And then somebody is trying to tell me that better go to God in prayer. If it's marriage, don't read. See, after you finish reading the book, you go and pray. Oh God Almighty. And I'm hoping that, you see, the relationship between a husband and a wife will influence the behavior of the child. So, so you know there's this villain and this thing that parents play, where when the child does something bad, the mother says, I'll report you to your father. Dear father, stop it. They are setting you up. They are setting you up. The child will perpetually see you as the bad guy. And we see the mother as a good person. So this is what we have at old age. Children are always buying gifts for their mothers. It's from that villain that you started playing. Stop playing villain. Switch the role. Let the mother to play the villain. Okay, so let's do it this way. Whenever both of you agree on anything, please, nobody should go against it. If they say, okay, they should not eat chocolate, agreed. And then the boy wants to eat chocolate, the father says no. And then he goes to the mother, and the mother says, don't worry, I will buy it for you. You're already creating a villain, good cop, bad cop, like that. So let's have a situation where whatever we agree on, nobody does different. Not this thing, a child is crying. And then the father says, come and carry your child, oh. And you carry the child. No. Let the child cry with the father and keep quiet with the father. Because the moment you are carrying that child, you are telling the child that that is bad, I am good. So the child grows up having, so there's this subliminal deposits that we are making every day in the minds. So some people cannot even explain how they grew up liking their father more than their mother, or mother more than their father. But it's this little, and like we learned earlier, a child only remembers, so when a baby is young and you go to the house, after a few days, the baby warms up to you, right? And if you live there, I've experienced this recently. Now, when you go away for a while and you come back, the baby forgets you. So you will now start the process again. That is why consistency is very critical if we are going to be able to influence. Now, many of us who did not get to the point where conversations like this can be heard, growing up. So many of our parents today are not actually happy with the way we relate with them. They wish we could call them more. So you see some of them trying to do some restitution. They know they missed something. So why do you want to do the same thing that they did? Am I making sense to you? They know something was missing. So it is time we did differently so that we have a different outcome. So our job is even more difficult, to be sincere. It is more difficult now to be a parent than ever. It is more difficult because now you have to make money at the same time you have to make out time. And you see the easy excuses as a man, especially men, and I'm going to speak to the men now, my time is wrapping up. Sir, after a while, that money will not make sense. It's better to live average and be involved in the life of that child than to give the child millions and be absent. Thank you very much. God bless you. Okay, so before I take my seat, with your permission, sir, this is a project I did. And if you're a parent here, please, I came with only 10 copies. I'm not necessarily, this is not a marketing, this is what you need. Please, I beg you in the name of God. Like I said, I'm more of an emotional intelligence person. I'm not a parenting, it's not my calling to help parents. I'm just fortunate to know how emotional intelligence works and how it can be applied to parenting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Thank you very much. God bless you.
A round of applause for Mr. John Asiegbo again. Thank you so much, sir, for that fantastic session. Okay, so a couple of things he said that caught my attention. He said the traditional style of parenting has expired since 1997. In other words, SOP, OT law, it's gone. So she said, since the traditional style of parenting has gone, that means there's no problem with Latoya calling me Lala. So even me, I'm pausing, I'm thinking about it. Because you said something, sir. You say, how would you respond to your child when he or she comes and says that they want to take a decision that is contrary to yours? In the first place, I cannot go and meet Baba Bayo and tell him that I want to. Then even maybe we are outside, don't understand. Then I don't even know what our decision is on a particular decision. But I want to make my own. So we're probably in a family friend's place and they're getting food, you know. I decided, you know. You don't understand. I don't need to know my mother's. I don't need to ask her. I'll just be hearing something like, Ademola Oluseyi Atonda Adezi Big. You know, just from that full name. And they put the Oriki. When she puts the Oriki at me, Bami, I know the decision. You understand what I mean? She doesn't even have to say it, just facial expressions. Do you understand? Leg movement. Abi? After that one, Kilotuku. Facial expressions. Hand gestures. Shoulders up. I know my mother's decision. So this one, Ata will now come and meet me and say, I want to make a decision that is contrary to yours. How will you take it? Which I'll call her full name. Latoya Oluwashindara. So you now said, how do you respond when someone comes to meet you and say, I have a boyfriend, you know? Well, in the first place, Latoya must have a boyfriend. Because she cannot have a girlfriend, you understand? Yeah? If you don't get it, forget about it. Because I had a session one time, a friend reached out to me. I said, can I help the boy? I'm like, what should I help him with? He said, he went abroad and he's come back, he's a girl. I'm like, he was never a boy. Because to convince him, you know, that he's a boy back, he was never a boy. That's Mr. Kuka and Jonas Ebu. I will refer them to. So sincerely, I told yourself, you must hear the voice of God. You must have a boyfriend. Yeah, how can you? No, you can't have girlfriends. No, it's impossible. Because never, it's not. No, what God cannot do does not exist. Another major thing you said that caught my attention, sir. 3 major things to discover your strengths. You said the ways to identify it is that I can do it without external motivation. I can do it without being paid. I can do it better than others. And this is really critical. I say that because I experienced something some few years ago when I think it was Access Bank that took over Diamond Bank or something. I can't remember. I think which one. Yes. So I was trying to open a bank account with Diamond. The young man that was attending to me, sharp-looking guy, amazing, you know, everything good. But I couldn't open it that day because he said my mandate was not complete. That means there was something I was supposed to bring, but I couldn't bring it that Friday. So he told me to bring it on Monday morning. I got to Access Bank on Monday morning. That was just when they were switching. And, you know, when I drove in, I got to the place, it wasn't there. I asked the person, where's the young man? He said, the way she said, he just said it's not on seat. You know, the way she just said it casually. So I was done what I was doing. As I was driving out, in their security post, I saw that young man, you know. He had put his blazer, he had put the shirt, so just a singlet. You know, and I was thinking, you know, everybody was sort of, there was a situation going on. So I just parked and said, what was happening? I know the guy was almost delusional. He was saying that, you know, he got to work that Monday morning, he put his password, he did not go, something. He was just talking to himself. But the one that he kept on saying is that I left school straight from NYSC. I joined the bank, and, you know, they retained me. I don't have talent. I don't even know what I can do. All I know is F1, F4, Control F3. I don't know what, you know, but you know what I mean. The bankers understand that all he knows in his life is function. You've been a banker. Even you know the control, you know the buttons. So all he knows is this. And he was sort of delusional. And he kept on saying and saying. And in my mind, I'm like, banking only work. You know? Because the truth about it is that it was engaged, truth, you know? But it was not engaged based on his strength. And the day they disengaged him, he now realized that he never knew his strength. He was even saying to the point that what will he tell his wife? After 9 years of being in the banking, he doesn't know how to do any other thing. You know, so we'll just, and I'm like, okay, so banking can run people mad. That is why Flair had to leave, you understand? Did you get that? Do you understand? Before she goes, I don't have any, I'll not be going to say, Pastor, anyways, so that this a bit deeper, we would like to have people stretch and do some stuff just very quickly. We're going to have a very short break. But I know that we've had 2 sessions And some people might have questions to ask. Questions with regards to either what Mr. Coker or what Mr. John has said. So if you do have a question, we're just going to take two quick questions and we're going to go on break. So, peradventure, you have a question, just raise your hand and I would get the mic to you. Any question whatsoever. Or you're thinking about the question. Okay, so while you're thinking about the question, let's do something. Let's all be standing before we go on break quickly. So that you know that what they have said is really important. That the fact that these children, they are mirroring, and he said something, he said once a child can mirror 4 traits of depression, the child is depressed. The child is just mirroring you and the child becomes exactly what you don't want that child to be. Now, I'm going to do something. And I would just request that you do exactly what I've taught you to do and know what I'm doing. But you will just notice that because you are seeing me, your attention is on me, you would mirror me and do the wrong thing. So let me do this quickly. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, so if you have a blindfold, first remove that blindfold. So if you remove the blindfold, you can't see me. Your situation is critical. Okay, so I'm going to do something now, and I want you to, I'll do it right, then I'll teach you how to do it. And I will teach you the right thing, then I'll do the wrong thing. You'll notice that it's the wrong thing you'll be doing. Let's just observe. So it starts like this. Have you seen or heard of Mr. Hedy? So have you seen? You cover your eyes. Or heard? You cover your ears. Of Mr. Hedy, touch your head. Who was needed? Touch your knee. In the army, from left to right. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. So I'll do it again. Have you seen? Now repeat after me. Have you seen? Or heard of Mr. Hedy, who was needed in the army, from left to right. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. We'll do it together again. Have you seen or heard of Mr. Hedy, who was needed in the army, from left to right? Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Man of God, you are twerking already. Your hip, hip, hip. I say hip, hip, hip. I did wherever. Inside church. Now, you know the right thing to do, don't you? You all know the right thing to do. So let's do it without me. 1, 2, go. Again, and I want you to scream it out. 1, 2, go. Come and carry your wife. Because she's doing gay with you, gay. The only thing I made for her now is, don't we just put peace. You don't hear, Betty no kill my mother. Don't go fair party. Anyways, now you know the right thing to do, Abby. You know the right thing to do. We're going to do the right thing together. But as long as your attention is on me from the next one, because from the next one, I'll do the wrong thing. As long as your attention is on me, you'll do the wrong thing. Should we bet it? Should we bet it? Should we bet it? You want to put your money? Sorry, let me not say. Let me calm down. You want to put your money? I'm not on stage anymore. So can you bet like that? You want to put your money where you are? Okay, so you will do the wrong thing, Abi. What? What? Just put, as long as you're looking at me, I want to reinforce mirroring. As long as you're looking at me, put your attention on me. Okay. So we'll do the right one, the first one correctly. Then from the second one, I do something else. But you do what it is I've taught you, not what I'm doing. Do you understand? So when we tell our children, do what I say, not what I do. 1, 2, go. Have you seen together or heard of Mr. Hedy, who was needed in the army from left to right? Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Again, have you You see? Did you see the person? So, at one point, did your eye become your hips? At one point, the person did, have you, forget me, sha. We'll do it again. But do you see how much pressure we put our children under? When we're doing the wrong things and we're telling them to do the right things. We put them under so much pressure. And it will take them to be so deliberate, so intentional. But as long as you are doing the wrong thing, you've given them a template to do the wrong thing. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Now you have to be intentional. Say intentional. Say intentional. Say intentional. Woman of God, you are pregnant. Calm down. Calm down. Are you ready? Sile. As long as your eyes is on me, you realize that you have to take more time, and effort and energy to be intentional. So it will mean that some of us are the ones distracting our children. So when you see your child, you just notice it's striking. I want you from where? You too, when they play, you understand? When they play Ashake. They are doing as if they don't know. Abi, don't worry, they will know. Pastor, you see now, just watch, you will know. You will see now, Pastor, they know Ashake. Oh. You will see now, I'm coming. Oh. Let me see one, let me give you the hook. They will know. We will know amongst you. No, chill. Calm down. Daddy love boy, I see now, give me liver. I be ghetto boy, I be sinner. Fear nobody, only Jehovah. Tell the Lord that they go far. Bodaleba, Bandana lo biti tupa, midnight waka karashika. Them never see it coming. Jo. Oh, coming. Man of God, they know Ashake. They don't know Ashake how. You see how deliberate even horse have to be. Because it's Ashake we are seeing. You now want to teach your child Zulu song. You want to teach your child better music. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up to Nzanza. You sleep with which one? Palazzo, Jiki, Gboja. When you are eating, it's Sungba. Sungba la jaja. Sungba. To the first land from Jordan to the sea. No, me, I sang it in my own deeper life. Thunder. It was victory, a victory. Oh, move on to the righteous side. You obviously, Minister Ola went to deeper life. The way he bent the head and he was doing it, you will know them. There's another one that we sing in deeper life, very popular one. Just as God who reigns on high spake to men in days gone by, so the Lord is calling men today. And my brother, this is true, whatsoever he says to you, there is but one thing to do, just obey. Just obey. Just obey is the way, God's way. When his message comes to you, there is but one thing to do. Just obey, just obey. Then there's another one. Neighbors are kind, I love them everyone. We get along in sweet accord. But when my soul needs manna from above, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me till the end. Boni wo Lord ojo Jesu. Jesus. Oh. So, I'm singing all these songs so that you don't think that it's only Ashake I know. You didn't get that? Did you get it? So the way I understand, as I know, I'm in the middle, equilibrium. I'm not in any extreme, I'm in the equilibrium. Because I'm body, soul, and spirit. Do you understand? When me and my wife want to do something, we don't listen to you song. You understand? When we want to do jumping, I am jumping. You remember who introduced us to jumping? When he was saying that you jump 5 times, sir, I was saying to you, but to school fees, by jumping, sir. I will law. But to school, January Lombon see. School fees. I will law. Finish. Jumping, jump fire. So I go and jump, another one will come. The one that is here, I'm still managing. I'm still seeing how to balance. I'll not go and, then God will not go and do it. Three will not come at the same time. Mofu pastor, pastor straight. Me that I cannot wait to be single again. Yes. You don't know, not the word, the way you are thinking. Latoya should go to her husband's house, me and my wife. That's what I mean. You know when he said some people have anxious attachment style. Abi? Then he said some people have secured. Then some people have avoidance. Then some people have which one? Disorganized. If you want to avoid me. If you want to, don't see. So recently I had to fix my car. So I just kept on hearing a noise. As I'm saying this, I know the people behind our head. So thank you. As you're finishing the food, just quickly join us. And I need some people to spread into this place. Because we're going to turn this place into an orchestra very soon. And I need us to, I need to be able to see everybody that I'll be directing. So yes, you are becoming a mass choir in some few minutes. A mass choir. So I kept on hearing the noise, from the right-hand side of the bonnet. It was me, myself, that took the car there and said, there's a noise I'm hearing. There are sometimes, a lot of times, you used to hear a lot of noise in your car. But it's not everything you can attend to. You understand what I mean? Because it's that you are hearing ball joints, you are hearing crankshaft, you are hearing shock absorber. How many of us have taken our car for roadworthiness in Lagos before? You'll be speaking in tongues. Because everything you are looking for, most likely, especially if you live in, there's Lagos, I've always said, there's Lagos mainland. If you live in Maryland, Bagada, Ikeja, Kudrat Abiola, you're in Lagos mainland. There's Lagos Island. You live in Ikoyi, VI, Lekki, Phase 1. Did you see Aja? A friend of mine went for a meeting. I was going to Coach Chari's office. We're going for a meeting and they said, just Lekki. So I got to Lekki Phase 1. Because it's Coach Chari's, when you hear Coach Chari's, a billionaire's office, it must be somewhere, understand. I got to Lekki Phase 1. I said, I'm in Lekki now. He said, be coming. I kept on going. I said, I'm now at that, what do you call it? That turning to House on the Rock. He said, be coming. I be coming. I got to the toll gate just before Mega Chicken. I said, it must be somewhere. He said, Lala. I said, become me. I'm driving further down. I passed, is it Novore Mall or something? There's a Novore or something. I said, I'm already, he said, become me. Say, Ibejuleki. Wait, by the time you begin to see Lakwe Golf Course, my brother, you are not in Lagos Island, you are in Lagos Offland. So you are living in Alimosho. You know, there's Ayobo, there's Lambe, there's Aboru, even no Aboru. See, those kind of places, if you live there, your car cannot be normal. If they take your car for roadworthiness, I'm telling you. Because you know there's a particular portal. You know, in Lagos, you don't decide. There's a time, you just be going and you just be trying to avoid potholes. But right now, after the rains, it's you that will decide the portal that will do the least damage to your car and to your life. And you go and enter that one. That's how bad it is. So I kept on hearing that sound. And I decided that, you know what? This funny sound has been reoccurring so that it doesn't damage something more. So I took it to the mechanic. And the mechanic looked at it and said, it's the bearing of the condenser. That once you change it by lower corner, you know how they do now? Down in once. So I gave him the car on like Monday. He did it. He called me on Monday evening. Egbon, so what's the problem? Only pulley water pump. Yes. Real life story just happened to me. So I sent him money again. He said, Egbon, pulley water pump here. But no problem. But and that's is Yoruba. So it's like it's the bearing of the alternator. So I sent him money again. So I was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I finally got the car yesterday. So when he now came to deliver the car, I said, it's me that brought the car by myself. Nothing was wrong with the car. I heard the sound. And that sound, you know what he said? And this is the wisdom in what he said. He said, Egbon, I'm going to translate it in English. He said, Egbon, sound the time go no engine let him go. No engine motor. Now come and no one let him go sound. No one let him go sound Egbon. But they say got all the shit. Anything low well to engine shit. Only to sound those shit. But that is why both of them are here. The sound of your head, you will give them the question. Okay, so the question to the question goes thus. Real life story. I couldn't have made this up. That there are sounds in our head. May I not hear sounds in my head? Amen? And if you are hearing sound, when we go if we go psychotherapy school, we go spiritual. Then if we go spiritual, me matter or labor. Oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so the question goes thus, sir. The question goes, how can you maximize emotional intelligence to manage personality differences in a relationship between a guy and a girl? Did you get that? How do you manage the difference in personalities in a relationship? Maybe they are courting, about to wed, but maybe they're in a form of relationship, but there is a major personality difference. How do you manage the complexities of that in this journey of trying to settle down with the person to be a lifelong partner? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I've learned recently, and I would advise that anybody going into any form of maybe dating, not dating now, when it has gotten to the level of wanting to get married, that you should possibly go for an emotional intelligence coaching program, both of you, and also endeavor to take a personality assessment where you know what your personality is and what are the strengths and the weaknesses of that personality. So cholerics, for example, are naturally impatient people, and they don't know how to work in a team by nature. They want to get things done fast, and so they can march on anybody's head. Sanguines are excited people. They don't think before they act. Sometimes they are very excited. They act and then think. And then we have the phlegmatics who are mostly quiet, thoughtful but patient, don't speak all the time. And then we have the meticulous melancholy who want to dot every I and cross every T. And if there's one sand on the ground, the whole house has to be cleaned all over again. So you have to know who you are and who the other person is. That way you are able to manage each other's strength. You see, what I just described now is what causes divorce. Do you understand what I'm saying? Uh-huh. Some people just, like Pastor Sam used to say, toothpaste, pressing of toothpaste from the middle or from the whatever. So your personality also influences your emotional experiences, right? So phlegmatics are prone to depression more than cholerics. Cholerics don't have a lot of mood swing because they are self-motivated. They don't need external motivation. Me like this. You don't need to motivate. When I wake up in the morning, I push myself. Some people, you have to wind them, roll them, put them on a slopey road, and then push them so that they can turn. And I'm serious. There's a couple I worked with recently who the husband is like that. The moment he drops the ball, to pick it up is a problem. It's the weakness of his personality. I hope I've answered that question. Thank you very much.
Okay, so to take us further in this, we're bringing you another classic. Like I said, we're taking you back into the old school because it seems as if there was more sanity in the old school, Abby, than now. How many of us remember that there was a lot of more sanity? Even though the people say there's a lot of sanity in the old school, there are songs we used to sing in the old school that till today we don't know the lyrics. Even in God's song, church song, like, should we try it? Are you Yoruba? So you know Sonny Ade. If you're Yoruba, you should know Sonny Ade. So when I say this line, you just sing the other line. Do you understand? Oh yeah, merciful God. Ṣé network ò dá ni? Are you using Globacom? So so I gave the mic to her. He said she's using Globacom. So I passed the mic to her. He said I'm using Globacom too. So who is using better network? Better network. You are sure? You are sure? Okay. So, merciful God.
Ọba tó ń ṣoore fún mi ṣoore fún ẹ tó ń ṣoore lójoojúmọ́. Ọba akọ má ti kà lẹ́yìn. Adúró gbọ́yìn lẹ́yìn aṣòótọ́. Kò jẹ́ ronú ibi rárá. Merciful God.
Àwa máa rí di lọ́ba Elédùmarè.
Ó ń ṣoore fún mi ṣoore fún.
Bobo mi tayátayá tẹ̀bí tara. Ìgbòkègbodò mi kò jẹ́ kó dá sórí asán. Ìgbòkègbodò mi kò jẹ́ kó dá sórí asán. Mò ń yan fáńdáfáńdá lójú apẹ̀gàn. Bí ọ̀pọ̀lọ́ ṣe ń yan lójú ẹlẹ́gùnsí ò gbọ́dọ̀ yín láta. The massive.
Má fi jóyin bàbá, má fi jóyin ọba o. Yay! I see you. Sir, people want to turn a FamilyLife conference to Owambe. Because I can see Seun Ogbola, má fi jóyin ọba o. Conference Ilakpe, conference. Take your notepad, be writing. Okay, so to take us further on this beautiful journey, I'll be inviting Olamide as she sings, "There can be miracles when you believe."
was a hopeful soul. We barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. Oh yeah, there can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will. You will when you believe. Oh. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proves in vain, hope seems like a summer bird swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here, my heart's so full I can't explain. Speaking faith and speaking words I never thought I'll say. There can be miracles when you believe. Hope is frail and it's hard to keep. Who knows what miracles will you believe and achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. They don't know what's happening when you and it's easy to give in to your fears. But when you blinded by your faith, can't see your way, get through the rain. This woman still resilient voice says help is all we need. Miracles when you believe. When you believe. Sing it with us. Somehow it's hard to believe. Who knows what miracle? Who knows what miracle she achieved? Sing it again. There can be miracles when you believe. Don't hope is frail. It's hard to see you. It's hard to kill us. Who knows what miracles
Thank you for that beautiful rendition. Now to the third session. I believe you've been having a great time here today. The conversations have been so real. I really have learned quite a lot. I also need to do a lifestyle adjustment, which I've noted down. And that's just the essence of us gathering in this room today. And for those who are watching us online, we just want to simplify things. I believe God Almighty did not create any one of us to struggle over anything. And I like to say that this relationship, whether single, married, begins and ends here. And it's not about Tom and Jerry situation if you're married. And then if something has gone wrong in your relationship, it's not about that you have failed. We're going to, in this session, I'm treading on the minefield. So it's okay. I believe my stance about it is, what will Jesus do? I was on a live program about 5 years ago, and I was on that live program. The host of the program, and you know the way you do all these online programs, so the host of the program left me. And so I was live. They just turned the camera on me, and that was my first time on that program. And then he went to do something else. And so as I was, you know the way these machines are. So as I was speaking about the subject of separation, divorce, and remarriage, a lot of them, you know, the program was in America, so that was the culture that just started bombarding me. Fraud, this thing, don't talk about it. You are accommodating sin. You will not make heaven, and all that. So, but I was so confident about it. So after that program, I made up my mind that this is a tough call for me. And I'm going to look into the Word of God, to glean from the mind of God, and then help people. I believe in my heart that no one who wants to divorce will get married. If you have such people around you, the last thing that crosses people's mind is to be divorced. If you have seen people who find themselves in this situation of life, no one wants to get married and be separated. Especially if you come from the culture that we all came from. I mean, this Aran culture, if you return home, some people will be concerned for your parents. But it's inevitable. We find ourselves in that space now, and we need to talk about it. Anyone who is divorced feels a sense of failure, that they have got their life wrong. And a lot of people don't recover from it. So it's a tough call. We will talk about it. I'll touch on some other things that, please give me my time so that I don't you know it. So when I start on this plane, it's a little bit hard for me. Just let me, mine should not be 8 minutes. I've not even started. Just give me my time. But before I do, let me lay a scriptural foundation to all that I'm going to talk about. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, I will read. I appreciate Mr. Coca again, Mr. John again. Thank you for the perspective to this subject this morning. I was really blessed. And this is the kind of conversation that we have. I don't know who among you said so that you'll be asked to come back next year. You are coming back. You are not only coming back, you help us take it to, because our goal, Africans we all have like a common problem. So in our own African culture, there are 3 things they ask people to do on marriage. Every year, you have to check on your relationship on the subject of communication, sex, and money. But for us, we also have a peculiar thing that we've added to it in Africa. You have to plug in on your relationship. Here, we don't live in isolation. Nobody tells you that they are coming to your house. You don't give advance notice. You can go to work in the morning, and then you come back at night, and 3 of your in-laws are waiting for you. So we've had the subject of relationship to it. So you have in-law, outlaw, middle laws. And if care is not taken, you may have it good between yourself and your spouse, but that external pressure can be the very reason why people separate or divorce, as it were. Let me just read this, and then I start to address what I need to address today. 1 Corinthians 7, I read the first 14, 15 verses. He said, now, I'm reading from the NLT. He said, now regarding the questions you ask in your letter, yes, it is good to abstain. Let me give us a background story. This is a people. It's a cosmopolitan city, Corinth. It's like a typical day, Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt. In that place, in that space, people go for spiritual things. In that space, but in the midst of that spirituality, you have people sleeping with their father's wife. In the midst of that spirituality, you have a whole lot of promiscuity going on in that city. So it's a city loaded with a mix of many things. So they wrote a letter concerning their concerns. So look at Paul's response. He said, now regarding the question you ask in your letter, yes, it is good to abstain from sexual relations. But because there is so much sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife. And each woman should have her own husband. The husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs. And the wife should fulfill her husband's sexual needs. The wives give authority over her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. He said, do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time, so that you can give yourself more completely to prayer. That's the only condition. Not even fasting. You know, it didn't say fasting because you hear a whole lot of things that when you are fasting, you should not have sex. It's not anywhere in the Bible. In fact, sex during fasting increases your spirituality. Please, you are in this space today. I'm going to say something. The SUs of this world will not agree with me. But the truth is that whether you agree with me or not, you know, sometimes my parents, and that's one of the things from what they said, my parents, they had 5 of us. But you never see them in public affect a display of emotions. Yet 5 of us came out of that relationship. How did they do it? Maybe another Holy Mary interaction. I never saw my parents kiss. And that's the truth. I never saw them hug. So you don't, when you can't see the main recipient hugging, you can't expect any hug from any of them. Most of the things that I learned outside the home. Even for those who are here, everyone who is married here, they don't prepare you for marriage. They just say, just go. And that's why some of the things I'm going to say today, Mr. Coker actually helped us to see it. You have to prepare for marriage. What everybody is concerned is the attires and the wedding reception. And this day is pre-wedding shoot, pre-that. And then 4 p.m. that day, every man shall decide his own destiny. How do people have sex? Nobody taught us. So there are a whole lot that we didn't glean from our environment. And when we have conversations like what we are going to have today, it's to prepare us. It's to prepare us. We can't continue to reinvent this wheel. Except this day of advocacy, which I also think that sometimes it can go to the other extreme. Nobody talks about domestic violence. Nobody talked about abuse. The abuse people talk about may just be verbal or rather physical abuse. But there are emotional, there are verbal abuse. And if I remember in retrospect, I think my dad used that emotional withdrawal. Uses it on everybody. If he's upset, everybody, he keeps quiet, but the condition of the house, you have to go and hide yourself because everybody must hide, you must hide. Otherwise, you are the ones who will collect. So let me just read. So verse 3 says, the husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs. And the wife should fulfill her husband's sexual needs. The wife gives authority over her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. He said, do not deprive each other of these sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time. Not so that you can give yourself more completely to prayer. Afterward, you should come together again so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of your lack of self-control. Said, I say this as a concession, not as a command. So when Paul says hi, it means there are things that you should use discretion for. When he says the Lord, it becomes a command. So some of these, a lot of people misinterpret 1 Corinthians 7. They can't determine when Paul says hi, Paul says. And when he says the Lord says. I hope you got that. But I wish everyone was single. That's Paul saying, just as I am. He said, but yet each person has a special gift from God of one kind or another. So I said to those who aren't married and to widow, it is better to stay unmarried. That's not the Lord. He says, hi, I need people to do the work of evangelism with me. So I'm giving this admonition. But look at what he said. But if they can't control just as I am, if they can't control themselves, they should do what? Go ahead and do what? Married. So, and it is better to marry than to burn with lust. But for those who are married, I have a command that comes not from me, but from the Lord. A wife must not leave her husband. Can you see? But if she does leave him, let her remain single or else be reconciled to him. Can you see? And the husband must not leave his wife. He said, but now I speak to the rest of you. Though I do not have a direct command from the Lord, can you hear? Apply discretion. If a fellow believer has a wife who is not a believer and she is willing to continue living with him, he must not leave her. And if a believing woman who has a husband who is not a believer and is willing to continue living with her, she must not leave him. For the believing wife brings holiness to her marriage. Can I have an amen? And the believing husband brings holiness to his marriage. Otherwise, your children will not be holy, but now they are holy because one part believe. So the family unit has a special place in the heart of God. The family unit, that's where I want to start from today. It has a special place. God put premium on the family unit. As a matter of fact, the blessings of God is upon a man and his family. It's always like that. There is nothing. If a man is doing well, check the family life. If he's not doing well, also check the family life. If there is cooperation in the family, even if there are challenges in the family unit, it's just a matter of time. Such challenges do come to pass. So the family has a special place. You may ask why? Because the family is the smaller unit of the larger society. If the society is going to be good, we have to start from the family. Mother Teresa of blessed memory said, if anyone will make any significant change in the society, said, let them go home first and take care of their family. Let them go home. So the family is good. It's good to see a man, a woman, bringing up children under God. The family unit is built to last between two imperfect people who are learning to live in the reality of God's perfection. So, the way these things happen to us, life do happen. Life happens. Everyone desires to have a good family, at least from my interaction with few people. Everyone desires that the person